All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I got a pretty neat little drone here. I know there's already a ton of reviews on it, but I finally got mine. I paid for this myself because of the feature set that it has. This is the Eachine Trashcan. Comes with a pretty nice little zippered case, which is something the Mobula didn't come with, but it's something that also the Emax Tiny Hawk does come with. So when you open it up, you're presented with the drone itself. 4 LiPos. They include 4 300 milliamp high volt LiPos. These are kind of like your typical tiny whoop stick style batteries, kind of like that. They do have the pH 2.0 connector on them. It does come with a charger. This is one of the typical USB power supply chargers. It will charge up to the HV voltage, but honestly, I don't trust these as far as I could throw them. Actually, no, I don't trust them because I'm pretty sure I could chuck this quite a ways. It does come with a nice little bag of goodies here. Move that off to the side here. In the bag, we get a craptastic little screwdriver, 4 extra props, and I'll be honest with you, you probably will need those. 2 foam pads, I've already used one of them. A prop removal tool, pretty handy if you actually need it. A small Allen key. An assortment of miscellaneous screws. These are the kind of the typical screws that you end up missing after you fly these things for a little while. A couple for the canopy, a couple for the motors, and I'm not 100% sure what the bigger screws are for, but it does come with some extra hardware, which is nice. Some of these screws are a little hard to come by. It comes with an XT30 pigtail, and this is a really cool addition because it's been kind of proven out there that instead of using the two micro pH 2.0 connectors, this offers a lot less current drop, or a lot less resistance, so you do get a bit more punch, less voltage sag than when you use 2 of these. But that's a story for another day. And the other piece that they include is this. This is a little jumper to allow you to run the trash can on 1S. Since the 2 batteries are wired into series, you have to have this connector in if you're only going to run 1 pack, or make some sort of modifications to the power cord itself. Back to the drone. Nice little case it comes in. It's cut out perfectly for the drone. It is just a hunk of foam set down inside the case, so things do kind of slide underneath and slide around. Let's put that to the side. And here's the drone itself. It is stout. It is a nice looking drone. Everything feels good. The frame feels very, very robust, very durable. Look at all the extra like fillets they have all the way around it. I mean, there's no sharp angles on this thing, so there's no real huge stress points. You got corners here. Typical 3 screw setup for the motors. And here's your 2 pH 2.0 connectors for your main power leads. USB port on the bottom for programming this board. It comes with Betaflight. The motors are a 0803 15,000 kV motor. These are a little unique because they actually do have really tiny bearings inside them. Instead of just regular oil-light bushings like some of the other 08 series motors, these ones are built to a little bit higher standard than most. The flight controller is a Crazy Bee F4 Pro, as opposed to the F3 that came in the previous generation of devices like this from Crazy Bee. This does accept up to 2S. Comes with a addressable LED strip with the old trash can logo on the back there. It's pretty cool. Not that you'll ever see this flying around if you have your goggles on, but It's just a nice little feature. And it's just kind of sat down inside the cutout back here. The camera is a big deal on this thing. It's a really, really nice camera. This is the Caddx EOS 2. It's a 1200 TVL line camera, but, and this is a big but, it's in 16:9. So if you fly with 16:9 goggles, yeah, cool, man. This'll do you well. Flying in a 4:3 aspect ratio goggle like the HDOs that I fly with, it causes for quite a bit of distortion. When you fly up to like my hoop style race gates, they show up as like egg-shaped rather than round. So it's a little hard to get used to. Things kind of sneak up on you. It's hard to explain. With the normal camera, you can see things coming from a ways out. This one, everything's just like boom, boom, boom. Everything comes at you fast. This thing is also very, very fast. I have to admit, this thing is super fast. The props do tend to like to fly off of this thing. Fortunately, the ones that come on it are red and they're a bit easier to see, especially outside. So let's go ahead and tear this guy apart. Go ahead and take the canopy off here. Canopy's only held on by these 3 screws. Well, that would explain why my video reception was crap. Cool feature about it is the VTX does have a UFL connector on it. Another feature of it is they tend to fall off pretty easily. So that might help me out here. So here we go. We've got let's get the hardware out of there so I don't lose it. We have the canopy. We have the canopy, the VTX here, and the flight controller. So this is kind of a 2-stack setup rather than having a piggyback style VTX. It actually has its own independent VTX, which is really cool. It makes serviceability nice, and it also means that there's kind of more room to maybe put your own VTX in if you want. And like I said, it does have a UFL style connection for the antenna. Caddx camera is the EOS 2 Turbo. The image quality is spectacular. That is one of the coolest things about this quad is the image quality is just phenomenal, especially for being such a tiny camera. And here's the flight controller. It's the Crazy Bee F4 Pro. And here's the other side of it. Motors still have the typical JSD style connections. So let's go ahead and put this guy back together. There's not much left to see here. So making upgrades to your VTX antenna should be fairly easy with this guy. And there you go. That wasn't the easiest thing in the world to put together. You just want to snug the screws up. You don't want to crank them down super tight. And last but not least, this is your RX antenna for your transmitter. This does come in a few different flavors. This is the FR Sky version. It does come in Fly Sky compatible and Spectrum. So pretty much whatever radio you're flying, there's a version of this for you. Cool thing about the receiver on this is it is connected to the SPI bus, which means that instead of looking for a bind button to push and prod on this thing, we can go ahead and connect it to Betaflight, go to the CLI and just type bind, press enter, and it puts it in binding mode. So there's no need to try to find the bind button to poke away at it. To be honest with you, I don't even know where it's at because I didn't use it. Okay, so the bind button is right have to take this foam pad out. By the way, it comes with 2 of these to space the battery carrier for whatever size batteries you have. But if you look, the bind button is right there. Right there. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Bind button right there, this little guy. So that's one way you can do it. Or we can connect it to Betaflight and just do it through the CLI. This is one of the first drones I've ever received that is truly bind and fly. They have Betaflight set up properly. They have the switches set up properly. If you follow the directions that come with it, you can get this thing flying without ever touching the computer. Just got to follow the directions. It's truly set up just right. So, what do I think about this thing? I have to admit that I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. A couple different reasons. Typically, if I have a quad with ducted rotors on it like this, I'm flying it indoors. This quad flies terrible indoors. It is way too much power. Even with a 50% throttle cut on it, it is still just far too powerful. It reacts to every little bit of stimulus, any little bumps or jostles, even coming down into ground effect where you get close to the ground. This thing wants to sit there and bounce like this. And you'll have to play with the throttle really carefully to get it to settle out. And I'm sure there's some CLI commands or some PID tuning that can fix that. But for me, it is very, very hard to fly indoors. It coupled with the tremendous amount of power and that 16:9 camera in my HDOs looking really funky, it is very hard to fly indoors. Now outdoors is another story. This thing is awesome outdoors. It is super fun. It is super fast. It is just a blast to buzz around outside. Problem is the reception on it is terrible. I can probably get about, I'd say 100 feet away and I start having fail safes. I think that maybe switching to a D8 mode setup in this, which you can do since it's on SPI, you would just change from FrSky X to FrSky D. I think that might help out, and I also do get some receiver lockups like I was getting on the older Crazy Bee flight controllers with the SPI. I think this still has the same issues, but more research is needed to confirm or deny that. Reception's terrible. The VTX is okay, but I think this, now that I realize that this was disconnected, I got to go back and revisit that. But my RC link was awful. When you crash, if you crash hard enough, props fly off. They fly off pretty easily, actually. I've spent quite a bit of time looking for the props, and it's not just one motor. It flies off of whatever motor. Turtle mode works great. It's super powerful turtle mode. Flies great outside. It's a lot of fun. But if you're buying a quad for indoor flying and primarily indoor flying only, I do not recommend this guy. My top pick for indoor flying is going to be the Tiny Hawk. Tiny Hawk with some 4-blade props, that is. This thing is still, as far as I'm concerned, the king of the jungle for flying indoors. But anyways, it's not bad. It has a lot of really good parts on it. There's just a few things that Eachine, like they almost always get it just right, and then they take a hard left turn and screw something up. Like the camera has no business on this thing. It should be 4.3, or there should be an option, more or less. There should be an option for 16.9 or 4.3, just like there is an option for FlySky, FrSky, and Spectrum. But I mean, it's not a bad quad. It's a lot of fun. It's just frustrating to fly indoors, and it may, I mean, I'm sure my skill level has something to do with it, but as opposed to this thing just rips around an indoor track like there's no tomorrow. This guy, it's painful to fly indoors. Now, comparing this to the Mobula, I would pick this over the Mobula. Better motors, better camera, better frame, and as you can tell, the Mobula now is coming with this exact same frame, so there's obviously some sharing of ideas there. Anyways, if you like what I'm doing here, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you have one of these? Do you have one of these? Do you have a Mobula? What do you think? Do you like this over the Tiny Hawk? If you have both for some reason, let me know. Let me know how you feel about it. Anyways, I hope you found this useful, and there will be some mods going on with this guy. That's for sure. It does have some great parts. We just need to figure out how to make them work for us. All right, we'll catch you next time. Keep flying. Bye.
Yeah.